you're a golf lover, join in on fun discussions about golf from the perspective of two plugged-in Minnesota golf geeks, Brad Cole and David Branstad. This is 10,000 Swings.
Hello and welcome back to 10,000 Swings. It is Monday, September 20th, 2021, and I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
10,000 Swings is brought to you by Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual. For whatever financial questions you have, call Jarrett at Northwestern Mutual today at 612-209-4523. And I actually heard Jarrett was helping our friends at Margie's Kitchen and Cocktails in Andover on Friday night. You might ask, well, what was a financial planner helping them out with? And he found an inventory situation. He thought they had too much food, so he decided to eat all their food off the entire menu, and they now don't have a problem anymore. So whatever it is in your life you need help with, give Jared a call today. I mean, we prefer finances, but if you've got too much food, the guy will help you out. He's quite the team player, so give Jared a call today.
That was not the introduction to Jared I was expecting there, Brad.
The guy comes up with solutions, and you gotta love someone that comes up with solutions. And he felt that, hey, 8:30 on a Friday night, why do they have all this food here? I better order all of it. So
I'm just gonna eat everything and be happy with it and feel good about myself.
I think he was on the Peloton twice that day. He was chasing kids around. He probably had burned over 5,000 calories and then consumed 6,000. So the guy comes up with solutions. You gotta love it. If you've got any financial questions, give him a shout. And if you've got some extra cheeseburgers around, he'll probably help you out there too. So, actually, I believe he had the wild rice burger. So, a fun, different option that you can get at Margie's that not a lot of places have. But we've got a great show this week that might include the 2021 Player of the Year on the PGA Tour conversation. I might be yelling by the end of this conversation, but we'll go through that. The Fortinet Championship, not confused with Fortnite. The Dutch Championship, a little more Ryder Cup preview because we haven't had enough yet. And the Sanford International in Sioux Falls this week. Kind of cool to see the Champions Tour in the area still. And then the Gopher Invitational, both the men's and women's events wrapped up this last week. So we've got a lot to go over, but I tell you what, Brandy, we got to dive into it first. The 2021 PGA Tour Player of the Year is, drum roll.
Oh my God, Cantlay.
Patrick Cantlay. So I don't know how many articles I read going up to the last 2 weeks of the tour that basically said, this is done, it's Jon Rahm's, it doesn't matter. And then the last 2 weeks of the tour happened, and still everyone said this is Jon Rahm's, it didn't matter. And I guess some of the things that I like to talk about, most important to me is what you do in majors. I think it's really important to see who the best player was on tour that year. And if you look at the major play between Jon Rahm and Patrick Cantlay, I don't think we have a conversation. Would you agree?
It's not even close. But here's my then question with this is, in how high of regards are they placing the FedEx Cup playoffs in the Tour Championship compared to majors? Because if you look at the majors, this is a done deal. In fact, I'll take it another step further. You take COVID out of this question. We don't even have a conversation about this. It's wrong,
right? Because it was a little bit of the wraparound season, right? They counted the season longer, but I mean, if you look at the events that Cantlay played in 2021 in majors, we go to the Open Championship where he missed the cut. And we go to the PGA Championship where he did take 23rd. We go to the Masters where he missed the cut. Also, the Players missed the cut. Go back to last fall at the Masters, he did take 17th. And then at the U.S. Open, he took 43rd. So I don't know if you saw anything that sounded great from that. I didn't.
So Rahm's got 6 majors, 6 cuts, 5 top 10s, and a win in majors. I'm sorry. Where in the hell is this not Player of the Year material?
I don't understand it. I do know this though. I know that is a voting by the peers, and the only thing I can think of is that maybe there is some lack of love for Jon Rahm from his peers. Right? Is that the answer here? What do you think?
I really hate to go down that road, and I honestly don't know because I don't know enough about Jon Rahm. I just know he goes out there and he plays golf and he wins events. So I don't know enough about his personality and how he's like in the locker room. But did you also see so the PGA of America also has their player of the year based on points?
Yeah,
and Rahm wins that.
right. And that's what's it's so silly. And if you look at Rahm's body of work, I mean, the events he was able to play, he just destroyed everyone. And the number of top tens, it was a non-conversation. And the funny part is people talk about Patrick Cantlay's wins. He had more wins. Well, Patrick Cantlay won the Memorial because Jon Rahm had to give up his six-stroke lead because of COVID, and Patrick Cantlay won the Tour Championship because he was given extra strokes to start ahead of. Rahm had to spot him strokes to start the tournament. Like, two of those wins were literally given by Jon Rahm. So I really struggle with all of this, and and again, no disrespect to Patrick Cantlay, he had a great year. But
he had a hell of a year. So let's no disrespect to him, but I don't get it. I mean, we can debate all day long the Tour Championship and the spotting of strokes. That's a whole different conversation. But you can't compare these two seasons. Jon Rahm was the obvious best player on tour this season.
It's crazy, and even if you go back to last fall and the extra events, I mean, look at the U.S. Open, he took 23rd, CJ Cup at Shadow Creek 17th, Zozo 2nd, the Masters last fall 7th, Century Tournament of Champs 7th, Farmers Insurance 7th, Waste Management 13th, Genesis 5th. He took 32nd at Concession, 9th at the Players, 5th at the Masters. He missed the cut at Wells Fargo. The PGA Kiowa, he finishes 8th. The Memorial, he's up by 6 and gets forced out of the event. Comes back and wins the U.S. Open. Goes and takes 3rd at the British, or at the Open Championship. 3rd at Northern Trust. 9th at BMW Championship. And 2nd at Tour Championship. He missed one cut the entire year. Patrick Cantlay missed, 2 cuts in majors? 2 or 3 cuts in majors. How is this Again,
there you go. Brad, you just spelled it out. He missed one cut, so obviously that one cut cost him Player of the Year.
I mean, the body of work, again, wins are important, but he has a win in a major. He has all these top tens in majors and big events. And yeah, he didn't have the same number of wins that Patrick Cantlay did, but is that the only thing you're looking at? Because to me, I just feel like Rahm, it was such a dominant body of work, even if he wasn't winning that week. And we'll let it go. I feel like we're gonna beat a dead horse a bit on this. So it's shocking to me. I would love to know more about what the players think. I think it's hilarious that the PGA actually has, they go off of points, and he won when you look at the points. So it's like, well, why are we going on opinion versus points? Like, why don't we just use a point system like we do with the FedEx Cup and not spot anyone any extra strokes and just figure it out, right? Like, it just seems like there's maybe a better way to do this, but
well, I mean, who do you want to sponsor? What, I guess, is what this comes down to, in my opinion. I mean, the PGA of America is their own identity. The PGA Tour is their own identity. They're separate organizations. And then you got the FedEx Cup, which is their own entity within the PGA Tour. Obviously, they're a major sponsor within it. So it's just like, I wonder what this means to players, I guess would be my question. Like, does Rahm walk away from this pissed off that I didn't win Player of the Year, but I won PGA of America's Player of the Year? Or is he just like, you know what, I won like $7 million, I got some good endorsements, what a good year? Where do the players sit on this one? Would be my question.
Well, I know that, so he arrived this week at the Fortinet Championship at Silverado, and he was asked a lot of questions, and he came out and he said, hey, I'm not happy about this. Like, this is not something I stand for. And then he does what we've seen so often, and as he showed up at an event that there may or may not have been some sort of extra incentives to show up at, and he missed the cut, and he was gone Friday night back home. And probably already, probably might have gone directly to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. But I just thought it was interesting that obviously he's frustrated. Instead of coming out and just crushing everyone, which I thought he would have, he just said, nope, I'm going to take my MC and move on. So we transitioned from there into the Fortinet Championship, and another player that, and we talked a little bit the week before about how Billy Horschel was a little sour that he didn't get chosen. Now we have Max Homa, who felt like he was on the outside looking in, and he goes out and he wins the first PGA Tour event of the season. And what a weekend for Homa. 65-65 on the weekend to win by 1 over Maverick McNeely, who had really a frustrating finish. So McNeely, I don't know if you were watching it, Brandy, but he birdies 16, then he makes a double on 17. Some would say potentially a Hazel Rocket on 17, and then comes back on 18 with an eagle to only lose by 1. It was already over at that point, but he needed to make double eagle. But very impressive back nine coming in from Max Homa. He goes eagle on 12, birdie on 13, birdie on 16, 17, and then just pars 18, kind of coasted in to make sure he gets the win. Impressive and pretty good field to start off the season. Mito Pereira is probably the guy that nobody knows who he is, and they need to know him tomorrow. And this guy has been on fire in the last 6 months, and he got the Battlefield promotion. He takes 3rd place this week.
What's kind of funny is I probably couldn't tell you a ton about Max Homa's golf career, but his Twitter account's amazing.
It's fantastic.
I look every single day. He's always got something on there. It's absolutely stupid. I did not know that though about those last couple holes though coming in. I truthfully did not get to watch a ton of that event this weekend.
What a finish for McNeely, right? Like you're probably just losing your mind when you blow the lead with a double bogey, and then you come back with an eagle on 18 to lose by 1. It's kind of like, oh man, it's just.
I just eagled my 72nd hole, and I'm gonna lose.
Yeah. No, it's
great.
They had some good performances from the local guys. They struggled a little bit on Sunday, but Troy Merritt went out and shot minus 11 for the tournament. Unfortunately, 73 on Sunday, so he did lose by 8 shots. He goes out and puts up a 64, 65. He's right there on Sunday, but another top 20 for Troy. So a nice paycheck. And I think in the words of Kevin Kisner, even though I can't beat these guys, T25 pays a lot of money. I think that was the quote from Kiz.
Dude, let's look back to his what's his last 4 months been like? I don't know if I can even. I don't have time to even look this up somewhere. Troy Merritt, look at his last 4 months.
Yeah, Troy Merritt and Tom Hoge have been on a nice run. They both got to keep their card, and they both finished top 100, which means they made well over $1 million last year, and they've had several top finishes. So really good to see both of those guys. And then Hoge, man, on Sunday he struggled as well. He shot 75 to finish at -7, T36, back at -7. So he actually tied with Phil Mickelson. So a decent field this week at Silverado, and we'll transition again from a decent field at Silverado to one of the best fields you'll ever see for a 24-person field at the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits. So kind of fun to see Max Homa get a win. Basically 2 wins now in a matter of 7 months, and a guy that was criticized that he really, wasn't going to win a lot, he's getting it done. So all the Twitter haters out there that want to give him a hard time, he's definitely showing up, and would love to see. Max Homa would be an awesome guy to get on a Ryder Cup. Guys like him and Kevin Kisner and even Kevin now, all those guys I was kind of pulling for. But I do like our squad. I just think that we're probably going to lose, but we'll get to that in a second. So we go overseas then to the Dutch Open, which is in the Netherlands this last weekend. Another decent field. You had Thomas Pieters, Justin Harding. It was won by Christopher Broberg, who shot. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Branny. Guy shoots 23 under, but the final round was even par. Like he goes 68, 64, 61, and then just cruise controls it on Sunday to win by 3 at even par. Like. That's got to be fun, right? Like you're basically just get it in the fairway, get it near the green, and let's go to the next hole, right?
I'm still trying to adjust to the transition you just made from I think we're going to lose to the Europeans. Now let's get on to that tour. And
now let's go talk about what the Europeans do right.
Now, let's go talk about how they can shoot even par in the final round and just win golf tournaments.
A very interesting fact on the European Tour, a guy that's been out there for, I want to say almost 15 years now, Alejandro Canizares. So his dad was, I believe it was Jose Maria that played on the Champions Tour and was here a few times, and Alejandro caddied for him. And he's the same grade as me, and we actually both applied and interviewed for the same job right out of college. And he was supposed to start the same day that I started, and he never showed up to our first day orientation. And I'm
kidding.
I'm still with that company another 15 years later, and he's still out on tour. And what happened was my boss came to me and he goes, "Hey, I got a note from Alejandro, and he said he Monday qualified into this event. He's not going to be here this week." And 15 years later, he's still out playing European events. And I mean, third place in the Dutch Open, that's got to be worth a few dollars, right? Like, you know, I'm impressed. So, you know, like his world ranking's 340th, but it's kind of cool to see someone, especially a guy that, you know, he grew up around his dad playing at a pretty high level, and a very high level, and see him still making it 15 years later. You know what a grind it is on all those mini tours and this and that. And
that's super cool. I've never heard that story before. That is actually really, really cool. Like, do yourself a favor though. Do not call him to compare paychecks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my first year in that job, he made more just making a cut than I made in the whole year. But, you know, also in the field that week was Angus Flanagan. And Angus went out and went 71, 71, 68, and then a 77 on Sunday. And I tell you what, you know, we're talking about making checks and how much every stroke's worth. That 77 just crushed him. So he ended up finishing in 64th place. You know, he shoots a 66, 67 on Sunday. And he's right there. You know, he's going to make a pretty good chunk of money, and unfortunately that just crushed him. But nice to see Angus making cuts and playing, you know, again, it's a great field. I mean, there's guys like Oliver Fisher, Daniel Van Tonder that have had pretty impressive careers that, you know, he beat. And cool to see him making a little noise over there. So hopefully he can get it going for 4 rounds and get things. You know, we'd love to see him back on the PGA Tour at some point. I know it sure seems like he's got the talent to make it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no doubts he's going to be back and back stronger than ever.
I think so. I see him making it. Tyler Koivisto is an interesting guy in the field too. Tyler Koivisto he played at St. Cloud with Devin Holmes, actually the brother of Derek Holmes that we talked about a lot on this show. And he was a school teacher, and he went to a random qualifier, and he won it, and then he won an exemption into an event, and he actually won an event, I want to say like on the European Challenge Tour, and he's been actually making it for a while. So Tyler Koivisto was 75, 76 this week, but pretty cool to see the former teacher, former St. Cloud State Husky trying to make it out there too on the European Tour. So a lot of, you know, I feel kind of like...
It's one of the things that's so fascinating on the PGA Tour is like you have all these guys that are trying to grind it out week after week after week, and you know some of them make it, and congratulations to those that do. It's a grind. Then you have those that don't. There's some that are luckier than others to have sponsors, and some that don't. And then you just get some of these players that I just Monday qualified and I just made an event and now I played well, and all of a sudden here's my PGA Tour.
It's crazy.
It's just it's so interesting. This is what I love about it, because it's different from, you can't really do that in any other sport. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden it's, hey, I'm a school teacher and tomorrow I'm going to be the new Vikings kicker because we can't ever.
Because they need a warm body.
Right? They need someone who can stand upright and actually put something.
I'm not going to dive into that.
I'll leave that for Purple Daily to dive into, but you know what I mean, though. It's like it's just different from every other sport that's out there.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting about a Troy Merritt, right? Like, guy literally was the number 3 man on his high school team, wasn't recruited for college, walked on at Winona, all of a sudden started grinding for one summer at his aunt and uncle's place in Boise, and comes back and wins every tournament, and he's like, hey, I'm transferring. And his last 2 years of college, he literally had a top 10 scoring average in the nation. This is a kid that didn't get a scholarship or like any looks from any D2 or D1 programs, and he was leading the country, top 10 in scoring average, along with his teammate, Graham Dillette. and then he goes to Q School. He wins Q School, wins the Kodak Challenge for an extra $1 million his first year, and he's made it ever since. Like, it's just insane how one little good fortune or one little break or whatever it takes, just there's different little things. But you look at these guys that grind, and I mean, Troy Merritt, what an incredible story. And, it's Tyler Quavisto, all these fun little stories are just kind of cool to pay attention to. And I think Angus will have probably more frustrating rounds in the next year or two than everything go his way, because that's just how it goes. Like, even look at Brooks Koepka and some of these guys that all had to go overseas or play somewhere. It's very rarely do you just show up at a press conference after you decide you're going to turn pro and say hello world, and then go win tournaments and majors. Like, we all wish we were Tiger, but there's only one Tiger. So
I know, I think I've shared this before, but I know I have. But like, when Troy's uncle Greg used to show up, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you guys gotta see my nephew play golf. He's so good. He's so good." And we're like, "Yeah. We're sick of hearing about kids being good at golf." Oh crap! Yeah, he won Q School. Okay, that's impressive. Now he's winning on tour. That's impressive. I co-host a golf podcast, so that's where my golf career is.
I tell you what, though, it's amazing, and you play with Troy, and there's nothing flashy about him. I think that's the best part, is he just does everything well. He doesn't make mistakes. He's just really, really dialed in, and I love that, because I think so often people get caught up in the, man, you have to hit it 340 and straight or you're not going to make it. And, it's not, obviously it helps, but it's not everything, and it's really important to just do all those other little things right. So, pretty fun to see these guys make it.
Also, a really down-to-earth good dude.
Yes, very much so. Actually, my 3-year-old is now saying that Troy Merritt's his favorite player on tour, because, this summer... Well, he gave him a high five. We talked for a little bit. During the round, though, mid-round, he starts talking to my kid. I mean, obviously, we have a long history, but it's like, that's pretty cool. A lot of guys that have been just kind of focused on their round, and he's just out having a good time, and he's a pretty cool dude. So if you want someone to follow and pull from a local perspective, he's a great guy to follow on tour.
Okay, so then I'm gonna throw him under the bus right now. I know he's only 3. Does he remember who he's named after?
Oh, that's interesting. People assume that he's named after Brooks Koepka, and that's not actually the case.
Come on.
My dad writes math textbooks, and for the last about 30 years, his publishing company just happened to be Brooks Cole, and we thought that was pretty sweet. We also just like the name Brooks. I also like the reference from Shawshank Redemption. Brooks was here, but
you've got Brooks like reined in everywhere over this.
We got a few different directions for the what we were thinking and where it came from, but yeah, we enjoyed it, and it's funny how people, I feel like so often, you can never picture, once you pick that name and they start developing a little bit of personality, they could never have another name for them. They just take on that name. It's hilarious. So, and
didn't he just have a birthday?
Just turned 3 this weekend, and his birthday present was a putting green. So he's
nice.
He's grinding right now. I ordered it at 10 on the stimp, and he really his grandpa didn't like it because he said it was too fast compared to the rum, because rum usually rolls about a 6 or a 7. But he's learning how to putt fast greens, and we're learning a little bit about being gentle, but it's a lot of fun. He wants to do it all day long, so that'll probably keep him busy for another day or two. Then we have to find something new.
Well, that's awesome. Happy birthday, Brooke. Shout out to you. Happy 3rd birthday, buddy.
He had a good one. Thank you. So it's a good time to remind our listeners that our show is brought to you by PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf. And they have this beautiful store in Southdale. If you haven't been, go check it out today. They've got Gen 4, Gen 3, Gen 2, and even some Gen 1 clubs left. They've got all sorts of cool different things in the store, from clothing to bags, hats, you name it. A little bit of everything. So go check it out today. PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf. No one makes clubs the way they do, and their fitting experience is second to none. So really want to go check it out today. Proud sponsor of the show, PXG. So now, Brandy, as we transition, Ryder Cup, where is your head now? We talked last week about maybe maybe Europe's like minus 300. I actually looked at some odds and it was like US minus 200. Like, how is US favored?
Here's where I'll start with this conversation. I've never gotten hate mail. I've never gotten hate messages from this show. And I had my first one, thank you, Jeff Robinson, this weekend, about how I'm rooting for the Europeans and how I am cheering for them.
Wow, Jeff Robinson, we appreciate you listening, but I will have to tell you this. Clearly, you haven't lived in Minnesota long enough because this is just something we do. We have to be realistic. We know where our heart is, but we usually don't put our money where our heart is because, then we get nice little surprises like the Gophers, who we thought were going to get their, probably not have a great experience this weekend in Boulder, and they go out and win by 30, even though they're favored to lose by 2.5. So we just have to temper our expectations, and I tell you what, looking at this event, I honestly think that Europe is still everything I look at. I just don't see where the U.S. wins, but the U.S. is still a heavy favorite. So it's, what do you think is going to make the U.S. win?
Brad, let me ask you this, because I could probably do this quick. I have not done the research. What has been the line on U.S. versus Europe in past Ryder Cups? Are we majority favored in these?
Yeah, in America. I mean, it kind of goes back and forth, right? Depending on the home
right.
team. Because they do heavily weight that. But we have been favored a decent amount. And I think it honestly comes down to because we always have the higher ranked players, right? But
that means nothing in the Ryder. We've lost 9 of the last 12 Ryder Cups.
It's not good, and it's a trend that, in my opinion, takes place because of the teamwork, right? Like they gel better. I'm interested. So as we break down the rosters a little bit more, I'm really interested to watch more of Bernd Wiesberger because he's a rookie on the team. He's always a top 50 guy in world rankings. I've never really watched him play a whole lot. I think he popped up maybe in one major, but I haven't seen a lot from him. I'm excited to see how he's going to respond to this. The other rookies, Shane Lowry and Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland and Shane Lowry have been in a ton of contention in majors, so I don't think it'll affect them as much. But Wiesberger could be an interesting one. Who else do you see from the European roster, Brandy, that you think could be like a weakest link?
That's my issue with this Ryder Cup team is I don't see a ton of weak links on their team. I see more weak links on our team, and I just don't see this happen. Do you happen to see what Butch Harmon came out and said this week?
Yes. Please share it with our listeners. It's a great quote.
Go put Bryson and them together. Sorry.
Go put Bryson and Brooks together and let them figure it out.
Bryson and Brooks together. Let them figure it out. This is the Ryder Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go play golf.
It's a good quote. I agree with it. I think that we need to let all this stuff kind of move past and just go be golfers and be teammates. And I think all this other stuff is just kind of crazy. But I mean, if you look at it, the average world ranking.
Let me ask you this then, Brett. Should that almost be the speech, though? Is that okay, it's night before the Ryder Cup starts. We obviously have a divided locker room when it comes to personalities. Is the speech almost like, put your BS away and just go play golf? Because you're obviously more talented than the other team. And just go play?
I think so.
I know the Ryder Cup is going to... or the European team and the Ryder Cup is going to have a way different speech than that, which is probably a little bit more motivational than just put your crap together.
I think that the direction I would take if I'm Strix is I'm going to say, hey guys, here's the deal. Our average world ranking is 9th. Their average world ranking is 30th. We are 3 times better than these guys. Go kick their teeth in so we can put our feet up on Sunday and watch football and drink spotted cow and eat cheese. We're in Wisconsin. Let's do this Sunday right. I don't want to be sweating this thing out. And I think that Stricker could give that speech.
You think Stricker's got a couple cases of spotted cow just sitting there in case?
I think so. I think
He's
Stricker's
got
got
to,
all,
right?
I mean, let's face it. The guy's got the keys to the state, right? Like,
Right.
I really think that he will do some good things. That's what I'm hoping, is that he's the key to kind of maybe like turn this thing around a little bit, and maybe he ends up being the difference maker. I don't know. I just I'm nervous because I just don't think that we show up for this thing the way they do, and it makes me like think that we're not going to beat them. But I'm hoping that we're going to turn it around. I hope I'm wrong. I just look at all the talent that Europe has, and I just don't feel like there's a lot of weak links. And I feel like we are kind of our own weak link, if you will. Like, we just, our inability to say, hey, I don't care what you said about me, or I don't care that my shoes have metal spikes, or I don't care that you don't like my metal spikes, or whatever it is. Like, so here's the question I want to ask. As we try to break this down a little bit deeper, I'm going to tell you both teams' captains, the entire group, Arsenal, and then I want you to put in for both teams what you think would be a surprise captain that's going to show up at some point during the weekend. Because I've already made my mind up on who I think it'll be. But I think both teams will have like a surprise captain, or a surprise like someone kind of putting their hand over their mouths and whispering things to the vice captain, who's going to tell the assistant vice captain, who'll tell the actual captain. Kind of relay it back. But you look at these captains for the U.S. So you've got vice captains of Fred Couples, Jim Furyk, Zach Johnson, Davis Love, Phil Mickelson, head captain Steve Stricker, and I immediately think that
this is the easiest one ever, though.
There is no doubt in my mind that Tiger Woods will be there, right? Like, he has to be the additional vice captain, right? Or do we think that he won't be there? Or maybe he's at home, afraid of anyone like hitting his back, because there's going to be plenty of like patting backs and stuff. So maybe he's at home, just wired in. Like, what if he's just like hardwired into Strick's ear, right? What do you think? It's got to be Tiger, right? He's got to have some sort of involvement.
Well, I mean, it has to be Tiger. I mean, Stricker and Tiger are good friends. Yeah, he's actually really good friends with actually the majority of that.
These are his boys.
Staff. Like these are his boys. Like, this is who they walk around with. I don't know, because they've been so hush hush about the state of Tiger, his leg, where we're at. So I can't speak that I know of anything of where he's going to be, but I can promise you, at the very least, the night before, Tiger's going to be on a screen wishing his boys some good luck. And boy, if he wasn't there in person, I would be shocked. I just think this just reeks way too much of. I mean, you got Freddie and Steve, and I don't know.
What about this? What about this on Sunday?
Barkley
morning.
Shows up.
Sunday morning, all of a sudden, Tiger shows up. First time anyone's seen him in 8 months. And the crowd's just shaking, just roaring. There's just goosebumps everywhere. And they're just playing Eye of the Tiger or Don't Call It a Comeback, or pick any song you want. And Tiger's just out there, and people are just like losing their minds. Like, people are jumping into Lake Michigan. They're terrorizing the Avery Salvage Yard. Like, people, they sell out of Spotted Cow and cheese curds, and it's just like pandemonium in Wisconsin because Tiger's back. Like, I could see it,
let's
right?
Put it this way. So, Brad, let's put it this way. If you have any insider knowledge on that, I will hop in a car with you on Saturday and drive there for that Sunday morning.
Oh, man. Could you just imagine,
my God.
As they're about to tee off, like, the final group on Sunday, and all of a sudden the camera, and there's just Tiger just standing there. Just got the sweater vest on, got the hand over his mouth with the tape on his fingers, rocking the American flag on his back. I mean, the entire TVs would just explode across the country. It'd be incredible. So that's what that's my wild prediction for U.S. captain staff assistants. Guys that aren't listed, but they're still listed, right? Like Bubba and Amanda Balionis were with the Solheim Cup, but they weren't with the official captaincy, right?
Well, Amanda can show up too.
She's I bet you she'll be there. So Europe has 5 vice captains as well. They have Henrik Stenson, Graham McDowell, Martin Keimer, Robert Carlson, Luke Donald, and then the captain is Patty Harrington. And my question to you is, who do you think the surprise captain would be? Because I've got it in my head. And
Easy.
Who you got?
Easy. Darren Clark.
And the funny part is that you say that, and it's already where my head's at, because what did he do this week? Just won the Sanford International at in Sioux Falls at Minnehaha. So pretty sweet.
But wasn't that an easy pick though, even before what happened this week?
But yeah, so Darren Clark and Tiger, like, it's kind of crazy that both of our minds just went there. We didn't talk about this, and my point is that they just seem like the kind of guys that they need to be there, right? Like, you think of America,
right.
You think of Europe, like, those are the guys that need to be a part of this. So we'll see how it all kind of unfolds, but I think that could be really fun to see those guys show up.
Darren Clark's going to show up in a freaking yellow Ferrari with a cigar hanging out of his mouth at 120 miles an hour into the Ryder Cup, and it's going to be the greatest intro ever.
Oh, man. So for those of
guy.
you that aren't able to make it over to Wisconsin this weekend, if the U.S. does win on Sunday, make sure that, obviously you're not in Wisconsin, so you can't get a Spotted Cow, but the best beer you can get in Minnesota, Corona Premier, who is a proud sponsor of the 10,000 Swings podcast, make sure that you go get a 12-pack of Corona Premier ready to go to celebrate if and when America comes back and wins this thing. I hate saying comes back and win because they are the favorites, but I just I haven't been fully talked into us winning this yet. So go get a Corona Premier, be ready to rock, celebrate. 2.6 carbs and 90 calories. And again, very, very highly recommend that you get it nice and cold, and because that's just how beer tastes better. But Corona Premier, proud sponsor of the podcast. Give it a shot this weekend when you're watching the Ryder Cup. So we fast back, kind of rewind to the Sanford International in Sioux Falls and Minnehaha. So an awesome field this week for the Champions Tour, and so cool to see that we still have now not only do we have a PGA Tour event in the area, but we also still have a Champions Tour event. And Sanford does an incredible job with a lot of different things, but they sponsor this event, and what an awesome field and for the playoff. KJ Choi, Steve Flesh, and Darren Clark, pretty impressive. And Darren Clark on the second playoff hole makes a birdie and wins the thing. Pretty cool to see. Wonderful top 10. You see the mechanic. Steve Stricker was in 6th place. Retief Goosen in 7th. A lot of great names. Mario Tiziani from Chanhassen in 11th. So a very fun week. You had Jim Furyk at 13th. What'd you think of the event, Brandy?
All right, so here's where I go. First of all, is Cheka the best player on the Champions Tour right now?
He's solid. I mean, he's right there.
I mean, he has played so consistently this entire year. It's been really impressive. KJ Choi, love to see him back, and then obviously Darren Clark as well. But I'm starting to feel old with these names that are now on the Champions Tour that I grew up watching.
Okay.
And it's sad because that's just where I am. Other than that, great event. I love seeing these names up there. Furyk was in there. Petrovic was in there. DL3, Kelly, Quigley. I mean, there's a lot of good names that played really well this last week. And I think the quality of play is stepping up there.
No, I agree. Look at Colin Montgomery, Rocco. Rocco lives here now, so it's kind of fun to see him in the mix in the top 30. And you had Cam Beckman, 27th. Cam Beckman, who still lives in Burnsville, or down in the South Metro. I'm not sure if it's Burnsville or Lakeville, but kind of cool to see. Actually, Tom Lehman finished 44th. So, Champions Tour, I don't know. I'm a big fan. I love what they do. I think they do a lot of really good things for charity, and I love that these guys still get a chance to play. There have been rumors that at some point there will be some kind of a senior/Champions Tour Ryder Cup, which would be pretty awesome. Don't you think, Brandon? Like, this could be a really solid event.
That would be super cool. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Champions Tour. Team Minnesota qualified for the PGA National Junior League Championship, and the Champions Tour stepped up with with DL3, Paven, Jay Haas, number of other guys, and sent a little video out to our team that was pretty cool. So appreciate their charitable contribution to that and hyping them up. But yeah, I would love to see a Ryder Cup format of this.
No, I think there's some cool stuff in the works, so hopefully it happens, and we would love to see that come. And maybe, who knows, maybe it could be a Minnesota event.
That would be cool.
So as we move forward, we've got the Gopher Invitational, both the men's and women's events that happened this last week, and the men's Gopher Invitational out at Windsong. And we had the women's Annika Intercollegiate at the Royal. Brandon, did you get a chance to follow along with these?
I did. I followed along with a little bit of it. I know the women's team did not have the finish they would have liked. And what is it? Was it Wake Forest in that event that just walked away with it?
The women's event was you had 11 teams in addition to the Gophers that are all, I think, top 20 teams in the country. So the ladies' side was extremely, extremely tightly contested. Very, very good teams here. But on the men's side, I think Kansas ended up winning on the men's side, right? And the Gopher men team was right there going to the final round. They had 282 in the second round on Sunday, and then unfortunately not the finish they're looking for on Monday. So it's tough. College sports, it's any given day.
Dude, college sports is tricky. I mean, just look at what happened this weekend with in football.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict any of this stuff. And I think it was Ben Sigel on the boys' side locally from Kansas. He finished T16, Jack Ebner T18, so cool to see some of those guys. And Luke Kluver won the boys' event here from Kansas at -10, so it's a name to keep an eye out for in the future. So as we wrap up on the women's side at the Royal Golf Club, the biggest thing to note is that Geraldine Wong, who transferred from Texas State, she's a senior this year for the Gophers. She took a top 20 finish, so it was nice to see her do against some really, really good competition. So very impressive on both the men's and women's side. A lot of talent they're bringing in, and we go forward from there. The boys are off this week. And their next events, the Northern Illinois event at Rich Harvest Farms, which I thought is just crazy to me. So the boys are going to start off their season playing Erin Hills, Windsong Farm, and Rich Harvest Farms. I mean, it's a pretty decent gig if you can get it,
huh? Brad, I mean, you and I went to similar schools, same schools at some point. Do you remember we got to start our series off at? We got North Links, we got Mankato Golf Club, no disrespect to Mankato Golf Club. Terrace View is my home course. Let's see, where else? Anyway, that was like our fall series. We just rotate between those places.
Yeah, it's not like playing places that have hosted Solheim Cups and U.S. Opens and all that stuff. So, or have been in the conversation for tour events.
With all due respect, Terrace View, if you listeners have not been to Mankato area, Terrace View might have, in my opinion, the hardest par 3 course in the Midwest. Like, that par 3 course is legit. It is hard. It's long holes, narrow greens. You'll become a better player playing there. Brad, have you played there?
Oh, yeah. Friends of mine, Jared and Brittany Linder, actually own it. Friends from college. So, if Terrace View is a challenge. If you want to get better at your irons, you definitely you got to go figure it out. And that's the interesting thing, Brandy. You start looking at how people get better. Like, if you want to just go learn how to play better golf, go play the Mac 9 at Rush Creek. Go play the executive course at Bunker or Majestic Oaks or any of these opportunities, like across the street from Riverwood, Vintage. It's a great option of just like, you really have to hit irons. You can't just rely on your driver. And at Rum River Hills, we have an event every fall. We just had it, the Par 3 Challenge, where we turn all 18 holes into Par 3s. And it's amazing how much it tests you, because normally a lot of people can just kind of get away with a driver or 3-wood off the tee. And if you got to hit only irons all day long, it definitely applies a little pressure.
So again, I'm not going to look up the stat right now, but I'm a firm believer that iron play is so important when it comes to playing successful golf. And, the old adjective on tour was you drive for show, you putt for dough, right? The driving statistics have gone down on tour because I remember Vijay Singh saying this when he goes, well, I can miss a fairway and still have pitching wedge into the green. Okay, well, I'll take pitching wedge into the green. But it places that emphasis on, okay, I have to be able to hit irons close. And I think the more elite golfer, I think it was it Mark Christensen? It was Mark Christensen. He was our era. He was really good in high school.
From Elk River?
Yeah, from Elk River. Was it Mark?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think Mark had a quote saying once, like, I only practice like 7-iron and in. He goes, because that's what I have to hit all the single time. So learn to play those clubs. Learn to play those irons that you need the most and you need to hit close, because you know what? You can spray a driver once and again, and you know what? Great. Hit iron to 8 feet, make a putt, and game over. Who cares?
Yeah, the iron play is huge, so it's kind of fun to see those different courses. So Terrace View is not Rich Harvest Farms, but it's a good place to kind of cut your teeth a little bit and learn the game. So. And amazing, it's cool to see how many college kids actually go out there and like they try to learn golf while they're in college. So I do really appreciate that. I think that's great. Great way to grow the game. And that's kind of what we've got on the golf side for this week's show. But we want to talk about our local businesses that we supported. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, went to Margie's. We celebrated our friend Jeff Kaiser's birthday and got the Grandma's Jokes pizza. So before it runs out this fall, it's fresh corn on the pizza. It's kind of a joke about Grandma's Jokes being kind of corny, but it's got fresh corn on it from the Fields Farm right up the road there in Andover. We also had the corn dip, which also had the fresh corn from the field there. So really, really good stuff there. And then we had the Peaches and Cream Milkshake IPA that Modest and Dangerous Man did in a collaboration. And then I had also tried a Shut Your Von Trap Hefeweizen from Garfish and Bethel. So some cool options. They have a lot of different craft beers on tap there at Margie's. And like I said, Mr. Yalen got the wild rice burger and French fries and dip and a little bit of everything. He was eating at an elite level on Friday nights. So it's a really good spot to check out there in Andover. And again, not a lot of places like it in that area. So pretty cool. What'd you try this week, Brandy, or what'd you support?
You know what? I've got a little different local support this week. Local company, as in my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law own the company, and they are from Minnesota. My wife and I went to Northfield this weekend, and they host a series, my brother and sister-in-law host a series called Secret Suppers. The easiest way to do this is just Google Secret Supper. It's going to be the first thing that pops up. Otherwise, it's secretsuppers.co. And they host these suppers throughout the world where you know a location within about 100 miles, but you don't know the exact location until about 48 hours before. And it's long table gatherings. The chefs they bring in are amazing. The welcome gifts, the welcome cocktails, the facility. This was at a blueberry farm in Northfield. It is absolutely amazing. What they do. One thing I've always said throughout my life is like I don't care about autographs, I don't care about stuff, but I love meeting people that are amazing at what they do, and I'm very fortunate to have a brother-in-law and sister-in-law that are absolutely amazing at what they do. Their events do sell out fast, like literally within 60 seconds sometimes, depending on where it is. They're originally from Portland, Oregon. They're moving to Portland, Maine. But check out Secret Supper. This is an experience that everybody would absolutely love and die to go to. So secretsupper.co, that's my business of the week.
So you're saying for our listeners that prefer chicken tenders and fries or cheeseburger and fries, this is not okay.
This is not for them.
All right, I've got 10 buddies that just signed off, but
this is for someone who wants to enjoy a long table experience outside for about 3 to 3.5 hours and just enjoy an experience.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
Very unique. Well, that's awesome. That sounds like a great business concept. So, a lot of different ways to help support our local businesses. So that's great. We'd like to thank our guests this week, ourselves. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Jarrett Yalen with Northwestern Mutual, PXG, Parsons Extreme Golf, our friends at the Meadows at Mystic Lake, and Corona Premier. You can connect with us, as always, via email at 10kswings@scorenorth.com. Please subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Score North, wherever you get them, and please give us a 5-star rating. For episode 31, we will wrap up the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits and preview the rest of the fall golf season. Until next week, friends, I'm Brad Cole.
I'm David Branstad.
Cheers.